Hi, good morning, honey badgers and cheetahs. It's Teacher Ellen. It's so nice for you guys to join me. I miss you guys. I miss seeing you guys every day. And this is something new, but we'll try it out. I want to talk to you guys about fireflies and lightning bugs. They are very, very cool bugs, and I know you guys know so much about them and maybe even seen them in the wild. Um, Usually we'll see them in pictures or in jars in the wild. They're not in the city very much. They don't hang out in the city, but in the woods and the forest, we might be able to see these guys. So let's talk about them. Fireflies, like all insects, have 6 legs, 2 antennas, and the 3 main parts of the insects: the head, the thorax, the middle parts of their body, and the abdomen, which are the ends of their body. And something that makes these fireflies very special is that the abdomen, the last section of the abdomen, it lights up. Um, Not something that all insects can do, only these guys can do it, very special. And they have a harder outer wing and a soft inner wing. The harder outer wing is part of their exoskeleton. Remember that very big word that we used? Exoskeleton is the hard parts of their body that protects their inner soft side. So they have 2 sets of wings like all insects. The inside sets of wings are soft and they use that to fly, but these guys, the outside wings are hard and they use that to balance when they're flying. And having 2 sets of wings is not special to the fireflies. A lot of other insects that we've already talked about have 2 sets of wings, like the ladybugs, remember? Their outside wings are also harder. Dragonflies have 2 sets of wings. Beetles, they also have a harder outside wing. And grasshoppers. Grasshoppers not only can jump very high, but they can also fly, remember? And they have 2 antennas. 2 antennas. What did they use those for? Do you guys know? We've talked about that. Like all bugs, they use their antennas to feel, to sense things, to smell. Their antennas are a part of their body, and they use that as part of their senses. They use it to detect the things around them. Okay, so they're called fireflies, but they are not actually flies. Can you guys guess what they are? They have a hard outer exoskeleton and a soft inside, just like beetles. They are actually more closely related to beetles than they are to flies. They have hard wings, outer wings, and soft inner wings, just like we've talked about with the dung beetle and with the jewel beetle that was very shiny and pretty. If you guys remember, it was the purple and the blue green shiny bugs, and we saw so many cool pictures of them. All right, let's talk about the cool parts of the firefly, the part that lights up. So the only parts that light up on these bugs is the very end of their bodies. The last part of their abdomen are the parts that light up. And there's a very big word that we use to talk about when animals and insects light up. It's called bioluminescent. Can you guys repeat that after me? Bioluminescent. Starts with letter B and is a very big word, big fancy word that basically means that they are able to make energy in their bodies that make their bodies light up. So, how do they make their bodies light up? They make their bodies light up by using something called oxygen. Oxygen is some of you guys may know, we breathe that in. We breathe in oxygen in order to survive. They use oxygen that's in the air and they use it to mix it with a pigment. And when they mix it, they create an energy. And that energy is in their body and they use it to make their bottoms light up, like a light bulb. If you screw a light bulb into a lamp and then you turn it on, it lights up. And that's also a chemical reaction, a process that makes things light up. We need energy to make things work. And like light bulbs, fireflies are using this kind of energy to make their bodies light up. And the part of the body that makes light is called the photic organ. Photic meaning pictures or light, and organ meaning the hearts, like the hearts and the lungs in our bodies, the parts of our bodies or their bodies. So altogether, photic organ means the light and picture of their body. And mainly boy fireflies make light. Girl fireflies don't make light all that much. Usually boy fireflies are the only ones making light. They turn their light on and off, making a flashing pattern for the girl fireflies to see. Girl fireflies, they usually sit and watch, and they only flash back when they see a boy firefly that they like. So usually boys are the only ones that light up. Girl fireflies can light up too, but not as much as boys do, and boys use it to attract girl fireflies. They use it as a display to attract girl fireflies. And they don't all sync up like we usually see in pictures, like this picture. We see all of them light up at once, and that doesn't happen very often. Usually we'll see 1 or 2 fireflies lighting up, but not a whole bunch like this. There are only 2 places in the world that there are a lot of fireflies light up like this, and it's called syncing up. And only 2 places in the world that this happens, in Southeast Asia and in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee. And pictures like these are very cool. So not only do they light up, but they flash. Like I said, they make a flashing pattern in order to attract female girl fireflies. If you tell your mommies and daddies to look up on YouTube the videos of fireflies flashing in the woods, they are really, really cool to see. There are so many videos on YouTube, and yeah, look it up, and they're very cool. So what do fireflies eat? Fireflies, actually, as adults, they don't eat a lot. They'll maybe eat nectar or pollen from flowers, but they don't eat a lot. They usually only eat when they are in their larva stage. So as larvae, as little tiny kind of like worms, remember we talked about the life cycle of bugs? They start out as an egg, and then they come out as a larva, and then they turn into a pupa, and then as an adult. So this has the same life cycle. So as larvae, as their second stage, like baby fireflies, they eat snails, they eat worms, and they eat slugs. Slugs are kind of like snails, but without their shell. And they do this. Fireflies are very small animals. Remember, they're small insects. They're very, very tiny. And these guys are actually snails, worms, and slugs are big. So how do you think they try to eat these guys? Well, larvae, not fireflies, but larvae, they have a poison in their bodies that they use to inject. They inject poison into their prey, and they paralyze or numb them. So when they paralyze snails, worms, or slugs, that means they can't move. So once the firefly, because they're tiny and they're flying and they're able to inject, like a bee stinging, they inject their poison into snails, into worms, into slugs, and they paralyze them, meaning they can't move anymore. The snails, the slugs, and the worms, they can't move anymore. So once they can't move, they can eat them. Then larvae are very smart insects. They follow the slime trails of snails and slugs in order to find them. So they follow the slime trail of a snail or slug, and they find them. Once they find them, they'll inject a poison into them. And once they can't move, they are able to eat them. Larvas and fireflies. Fireflies are very pretty, but they are poisonous. Even adult fireflies, they are poisonous. They won't hurt us, but they will. If you have a firefly and you touch it to your lip, it will numb your lip, or it will make your throat constrict, making it hard to breathe. So if you are looking at fireflies, don't put them anywhere near your mouth, because that would not be good. So larvae have a poison. Adult fireflies also have a poison. This is part of their self-defense. Fireflies have a predator just like all other insects. Birds try to eat these guys. Lizards try to eat them. And we said that brightly colored insects are usually poisonous, which means they are telling the other animals that I'm colorful and I'm poisonous. I don't taste very good. Don't eat me. Part of their self-defense, they are not brightly colored, but they do light up. And this light gives them a way to protect themselves. Using the light tells their predators that they are not very tasty and they should not eat them. Just like the brightly colored grasshoppers that we talked about, some of the brightly colored beetles, they are poisonous as well, which means if something tries to eat them, they don't taste very good. If a bird or a lizard tries to eat them, they don't taste very good. They're very bitter, so they might not even go back for seconds. They might try it once and realize they don't like it and not go back and eat them. They have poison. If someone tries to eat them, they shed out a blood that is bitter and poisonous, and they're not so good for birds and lizards. They don't kill them, but they do make them numb, and they don't like that feeling, so they're not going to try to eat these guys again. So even though these guys are little and they are very pretty to look at, they do have a deadly to snails and slugs kind of way of protecting themselves and getting themselves food. Like I said, adult fireflies don't eat much. They maybe drink the nectar and pollen from flowers, but they don't eat. They only usually eat when they're in their larva stage, when they are baby fireflies, before they turn into adults. And do you guys remember the word that we use when insects start from a larva or an egg and they turn into a bug, like a firefly or a caterpillar? It's a very big word that starts with letter M. Does anybody remember? Metamorphosis, a very big word that we use to talk about caterpillars and bugs going from one stage in their life to another when they change shape, basically. And these guys do that too. As larvae, they look like little mealworms, and then they change into fireflies. And as adults, they don't live for very long, which means they don't really need to eat that much, but they are very cool to look at. And you can catch them in a jar to look at them and then release them, because we want to release the bugs back so they can live in the wild. We don't want to keep them captured, just like the ladybugs that we released. They are happy in the garden and they are watching our garden for us, making sure our plants are growing and eating the bugs that are bad for the plants. And if you have these tools at home, maybe your mommies and daddies can help you do this. If you have little string lights at home, you might have them, you might not. In a jar, you put the string lights inside the jar, it'll make it look like there's a lot of little tiny flies flying around in your jar. And if you don't, it's okay. When we come back, I'll bring one in for you guys to look at, and it lights up and it's very cool. It looks exactly like fireflies flying around in a little jar. Alright, I hope you had fun learning about fireflies. I definitely had a great time learning about fireflies. They're so cool and we don't get to see them very much in the city. So these pictures are awesome. Continue this conversation at home with your mommies and daddies. Tell them about everything you've learned. Maybe do a little painting project. Maybe finger painting a few bugs here and there on some paper. Just a few ideas. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!